I don't think I've ever heard the Bunnymen sound more pop than you do on a track called Proxy on the record.
Yeah, I wrote that piano thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think Mock the Hoop actually wrote it.
Oh, really?
But yeah, it's like Roxy music.
Yeah.
And the reason it's called Proxy, it does mean something. It worked, but it was basically the working title was Roxy because I thought I've got this Roxy piano thing, ding 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 ding, Virginia playing. Right. And then it became Proxy because you can't just... And it made sense as a title because of the lyrics that followed.
We were talking about wordplay earlier, talking in one song, but, I think that you could, if someone wanted to, they could read into a title like, well, certainly going back to Evergreen. They could look at, well, was Evergreen that album title and the fact that it was sort of a comeback record, a reunion record, was it a statement, choosing the word Evergreen?
Yeah.
Likewise, someone might say Fountain. Well, what is it? Is Fountain referred to Fountain of Youth? Sort of thing. Was that
partly? And I just thought of all the titles. It was going to be either the Fountain or the Idleness of Gods, and I just thought the Fountain. It sounds like, I love fountains. I love the fact that it's like perpetual motion almost, and perpetual life and regeneration and stuff, and it felt youthful somehow. Not just because of the Fountain of Youth, but just little droplets of water, and just I know part of me thought, is that an obvious title? Has anyone else ever used that as an album title? And then I thought probably not. So I just thought it summed a lot of things up, if because of the energy of the album, and it's felt for me like not so much a rebirth, but like a debut thing. You'd expect Heaven Up Here to come after this, maybe, and it reminded me more of Crocodiles than anything because of that spiky, and I suppose I think of it. I'm always drawn to the heavenly images and stuff, and even though Fountain isn't, you can imagine if there's always cherubs hanging about.
Right.
And
is that image on the cover? Is that the Central Park Bethesda fountain in Central Park?
No, it's actually a fountain in Italy.
Oh, it is in Italy. Okay, it looks.
There's one on the back which is in Liverpool.
Oh, okay. I don't think I
all in the somewhere in the cover. But no, we did have a look. I wanted one that wasn't necessarily going to be recognisable.
Right.
It was like the Trevi Fountain or something.
Yeah.
And plus the Trevi Fountain was 218. I wanted it to be a simple-ish fountain.
And the angel was important?
Yeah, I mean, initially I said, bloody hell, that looks a bit like the Brandenburg Gate top. But then we looked at photos of this. I was not really anything like it because I didn't want... But the angel, it just seems to kind of... Because I didn't want to picture me and Will again, because I wanted it to be bolder and to not rely on that kind of thing. And I think it will help. I think people will just listen to the record and go, people who don't know us will just think, wow, I like the sound of this. It's... Unless is more, that kind of... What I loved about Bowie and the Doors and all that, and the Velvets, you never saw that much of them. You'd have to go and discover. I mean, obviously, Jim Morrison's face and presence was always kind of there, but it didn't have to be on every album, right in your face. Strange Days.
One of the surprising things I think people are going to find about this record is the label that it's coming out on. You're back with Warner. Right?
Yeah.
How did that come about? And are you surprised?
Well, we re-signed to Warner's, but it was Kurova. They re-launched Kurova, and then they came to us saying, as Kurova was only invented to release your record.
Right.
And then we signed, and then it folded because I think there were cutbacks. But Warner said, you're still on our label.
Oh, okay.
But how would you fancy doing it through your own imprint? And I'm just doing it in a different way, so therefore we get both Warner's and Ocean Rain Records as the actual label, and that feels good that it's not cottage industry, but at least we've reclaimed something. It's like our own label, but it's back on Warner's, which that's kind of, I think, where it always felt right anyway. You know, we were completely separate to that kind of machinery that those big companies employed, but we were always well loved within the Warner system, and I think that feels good.
Not to get too serious, but if anyone goes to the Bunnymen site right now, they will see a tribute page to a member of the Bunnymen extended family who recently died very suddenly. Jake, can you talk a bit about him and his significance to the band? And
well, Jake, he came along. It was early on. There was Bill Drummond when we were first going out on tour to Europe and stuff. It's like, right, we need a lighting person who'll do it basically for sandwiches and beer. And that was Bill Butt, who was a friend of Bill Drummond, and he'd worked a bit in the theatre, but he's the only man who made one light bulb into a show. It was unbelievable. It was in Chicago on our first tour, or maybe it was two. There were 3 bulbs, one of them was broken. So, but it was fantastic, whatever he did. And he knew Jake from Bristol, because they lived in Bristol. And we needed somebody who could tune a guitar. He'd never done it before in his life, but he came along, we met him, and he looked dead like Steve McQueen early on. Like, not quite as cool, but he had a kind of, you know, the leather jacket and stuff, and he was the right look and everything. And he became Pete's best mate, you know, so tight, and it's
a lot of people have pointed out the almost bizarre similarity to the way
pretty much replicate things.
Wow.
In a van.
It went off the road. Is that what?
I'm not sure. I think I don't want to.
Yeah. Think about it.
No, but somebody pulled out and he was on his motorbike, and it's exactly what happened to Pete. And so he
was 20 years. It was now 20 years ago, right?
Yeah. Mad. But I think of him now in heaven around a campfire, having a bit of the, you know, because they always liked a bit of the, and just giggling their heads off, opening cans and you know, but around a campfire giggling, looking down and wishing us all well, I'm sure.
A lot of people point to Pete's death as sort of being maybe the point at which things for a while sort of came undone for the band. Would you
well, he died.
I mean, he'd left the band already at that point.
No,
right?
I had. Well, the band had split up and then they reformed. But before it really happened, he was on his way up. I mean, that period of what they did, I find very wrong anyway. But so it was kind of a limbo period. You know, I thought the band should. Maybe with hindsight, I'd say I should have just taken a break for a couple of years and done Candleland and then. But in those days, I always thought that we were about kind of glory and, you know, and I'm being seen to be doing the right thing rather than just thinking of it as a career or something. I just, because it was the hardest decision I've ever made, you know, to do that. And it was hard to reform. It took me all those years thinking, and people would say, you know, don't you think it? And I'd say, no, I had to go through something in order to find the Bunnymen inspiration again. So. And
when you guys reformed, when you guys reformed, Les was part of it, but was only sort of stayed in the fold for, was it just Evergreen or when more?
Yeah, just Evergreen.
Just Evergreen, yeah.
We started the next album, What Are You Going to Do With Your Life, but his mother got ill and he had to go and look after her, and he was going through personal things where he wanted his kids.
Do you ever see him?
No, Will saw him last week, I think.
But as far as rejoining,
no,
that's not going to happen.
No, no, because he never wrote any of the songs. He got credits for them, but he didn't write anything. So that is never. People assume because it says the names that. Oh, and some people are so naive that they think, the songs aren't as good because Pete and Les aren't writing them. They never did. You know, we were just quite, you know, we were a union and we split it the way it was split. But it is.
But the truth of the matter was they weren't part of that.
No, not the songwriting. No.
Yeah. Did I see that he's playing with the reformed Wild Swans, Les's, or do you, yeah? That's well. So he's got a gig, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and it's nice. And Paul's an old friend, Paul Simpson, but it's it's got nothing to do with me.
It's a good year for Liverpool, though. I mean, with the Wild Swans back, and there was a Lightning Seeds record this year, wasn't there?
Yeah. I see quite a lot of Ian at the minute. He's just what's the word, hypochondriacal as ever. But yeah, I'm just happy with where I'm at.
I like the way that you maintain a real connection to the city too. And didn't you guys do
the greatest place in the world?
Huh?
I live right in the centre as well, right by the Liver Buildings. Beautiful. And I love New York, but you can't see all of those. I mean, it's my second favourite city, but in Liverpool, you can see the Liver Buildings and the birds because nothing's in the way.
Yeah.
So it's always a symbolic thing of. When we did New Jersey the other week, I was like, there's the Statue of Liberty, and it's dead close, and it was amazing just to see this thing in the middle of a massive river and at the gateway to America. It's unbelievable to see it. It's like all green. And I think that's kind of, for me, the Liver Buildings, they just represent so much. So yeah, I love it. It's the funniest place in the world.
Yeah.